In the bustling world, have you ever felt your mind running wild like an untamed horse, difficult to control? The six sense faculties cling to external objects, and afflictions follow like shadows. How then can we find inner peace and tranquility? The venerable wise Bodhisattva in the Shurangama Sutra revealed a simple yet profound Dharma gate. By single-mindedly reciting the Buddha's name, one will inevitably perceive the Buddha both in the present and the future. Why can this seemingly ordinary practice of reciting the Buddha's name so swiftly calm the mind and allow us to return to tranquility amid the clamor of the six sense faculties? Why then did the great master Bodhisattva wisdom liken it to the one thought between mother and child? What kind of wisdom lies behind this? Let us follow Ajatashatru from the Buddha's time together and explore how, through the guidance from Bodhisattva to Bodhisattva, he overcame the difficulties in his practice and ultimately attained liberation and enlightenment. Long ago, in the kingdom of Kashi where the Buddha resided, there was a young man named Ajatashatru who was facing a challenge that nearly all practitioners encounter: the disturbances of the six sense faculties. Although he was extraordinarily intelligent and well-versed in the Buddhist scriptures, he was still unable to attain true tranquility in his meditation practice. Seeing forms with the eyes, hearing sounds with the ears, smelling scents with the nose, tasting flavors with the tongue, feeling tactile sensations with the body, and a single thought arise, the six sense bases like untamed wild horses itching to run, pull the mind in all directions, preventing it from abiding peacefully in the present moment. One day, Ajata found himself unable to endure the inner turmoil and decided to seek guidance from a Buddha. On the way, he encountered Mahāsthāmaprāpta Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva is clad in a simple white kasaya, with a visage both compassionate and majestic, a radiant light emanating from the crown of the head. Every gesture exudes an indescribable aura of serene power. Ajatashatru respectfully prostrated and expressed his predicament. "Venerable, despite practicing for a long time, I have been unable to subdue my restless mind and unruly thoughts. The attachment of the six senses to external objects prevents me from entering meditation. Is there any profound method to counteract this?" The master, who was a bodhisattva, smiled and asked, "Do you have a deeply beloved family member?" Ajata paused for a moment and replied, "Yes, my mother. Although I have left the home life, I often think of her." "Then, when you deeply long for your mother, will other thoughts still disturb you?" Ajata pondered for a moment and shook his head. "No, but when I wholeheartedly think of my mother, it feels as if everything else vanishes." The bodhisattva nodded and said, "This is the secret. When the six sense organs do not engage, there is no need to forcibly suppress delusive thoughts. Instead, one should concentrate all the mind's energy into one point, a single thought of the Buddha. Just as you focus your mind entirely on the thought of your mother, all other distracting thoughts naturally disappear." Ajata did not understand why it is the thought of the Buddha alone, rather than any other object. Great Bodhisattva Ji explained that the Buddha is the awakened one, embodying the purest and most complete nature of awakening. When you think of the Buddha, you are actually awakening the pure and enlightened nature within yourself. The moment between mother and child is a mutual affection with form, whereas a Buddha's mind is a formless, pure thought, capable of guiding you from form to formlessness, from attachment to liberation. A single thought of the Buddha is a single thought of the Buddha nature inherently complete within us. It is a single thought of our pure nature, identical and inseparable from that of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This intention can gradually help us let go of attachment to external conditions, returning to inner peace and wisdom. After hearing these words, Agata pondered deeply and requested, "Venerable Sir, please provide detailed guidance on this practice method." The great Bodhisattva nodded and led Agata to a tranquil lotus pond, where the clear water was transparent to the bottom, shimmering under the sunlight. The Bodhisattva master invited Agata to sit down and began imparting the practice method of contemplating and reciting Buddha's name. First, sit upright with a straight body. There is no need to deliberately suppress the six sense faculties from grasping external objects. Simply direct your attention inward toward the Buddha's name. At the beginning, silently recite Namo Amichuofo, and with the rhythm of your breath, unify the Buddha's name with your breathing. When reciting the Buddha's name, the mind and mouth must be united. Each word should be clear and every sentence distinct. Do not pursue speed, but focus on quality. Every Buddha name must be recited with a heart of reverence, gratitude, and devotion. Only in this way can one truly resonate with the Buddha and receive blessings. Agata began attempting to silently recite the Buddha's name as instructed, but soon the external sounds started to disturb his mind again. Not far away, monks were discussing the meanings of the sutras. The sound of fish leaping out of the lotus pond could be heard, along with the chirping of birds in the forest. Seeing Agata furrow his brows slightly, the master and the Bodhisattva continued to guide him. When you find your mind being attracted by external circumstances, do not blame yourself, nor forcibly suppress it. Simply gently bring your attention back to the Buddha's name. Just as a mother deeply longs for her child far away, being fully absorbed in that thought, all else naturally fades away. Delusive thoughts are like clouds floating in the sky, coming and going. There is no need to pay them any attention. We only need to focus on the Buddha's name, just like the sun illuminating our inner being and dispelling darkness. It must be understood that the essence of delusive thoughts is emptiness. When we do not cling to them, they naturally cease. Agata tried again. This time, he did not oppose the deluded thoughts, but instead devoted his entire mind to the Buddha's name. The wonderful thing is that when he immerses himself wholeheartedly, external disturbances gradually fade away, as if a thin veil of separation still exists, but it no longer stirs the lake of his heart. A quarter of an hour later, Agata opened his eyes, which sparkled with a gleam of surprise. Venerable, I feel an unprecedented tranquility. Although the sounds of the world still exist, they no longer disturb my mind. The great Bodhisattva smiled and nodded. This is the power of reciting the Buddha's name. When a person wholeheartedly focuses their mind on another, a natural resonance arises between the two. Just as a mother and child are deeply connected heart to heart, when you sincerely recite the Buddha's name with true intention, your heart naturally resonates with the Buddha's heart, which is eternally peaceful and tranquil. This kind of spiritual resonance transcends time and space and is omnipresent. As long as we maintain a single, sincere thought of the Buddha, we can feel the Buddha's compassion and wisdom, receiving boundless blessings. Ananda further inquired, I have heard from other senior disciples various methods to overcome delusory thoughts, some related to breathing, some to counting breaths, and some to focusing on indeterminate objects. Why is the Buddha's practice of recalling the Buddha, Buddhanusmriti, so uniquely special? The Bodhisattva of great compassion explained that while other methods are good, the singular mind of reciting the Buddha's name has its unique distinction. Firstly, it does not confront deluded thoughts directly, but naturally calms them by concentrating fully on a single object. Secondly, the Buddha's name itself possesses inconceivable merits and can help practitioners rapidly purify their minds. Most importantly, it resonates with our deep inner yearning for the pure nature of the mind. The Buddha name embodies the infinite merits and virtues of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Reciting the Buddha's name is to receive the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, which can swiftly eliminate karmic obstacles and enhance blessings and wisdom. Reciting the Buddha's name with sincere intention is the most direct and effective method to return to one's true nature. At that moment, a monk named Shanming approached and overheard their conversation. Shanming has always been known for his practice of asceticism. He frequently observes fasting and suppresses the stomach. rigorously controlling the six senses to subdue delusory thoughts. He couldn't help but interject, "Venerable One, I believe that subduing the six senses requires a resolute heart, cutting off all external attachments, rather than relying solely on reciting the Buddha's name. I eat only one meal a day, never listen to music, nor gaze at beauty. Only by doing so can I truly control the six sense faculties." The master, being a bodhisattva, did not refute but calmly asked, "Shanming, through these ascetic practices, has your mind truly become pure and unstained?" Shanming remained silent for a moment, then honestly shook his head and said, "To be honest, although the six senses were externally restrained, the deluded thoughts within my mind have only become stronger. I do not look at beauty, yet I see it in my dreams. I do not listen to music, yet it echoes in my mind. I do not taste delicacies, yet I am all the more entangled. This troubled me greatly, and the venerable Bodhisattva wisdom smiled meaningfully. This is precisely the misconception of many practitioners. Forcibly suppressing the six sense faculties only causes the delusive thoughts to rebound even more intensely. True practice is not about struggling against oneself, but about finding the path of returning home within the heart. The six sense faculties are like our hands and feet. They themselves are neither good nor evil. The key lies in how we use them. If the six sense faculties pursue external objects, one will become entangled in afflictions. If the six sense faculties are used for cultivation, one can realize Bodhi. Reciting the Buddha's name is to guide us in properly using the six sense faculties, transforming them into tools for cultivation. The way home. The virtuous lay people and Ajatashatru both looked at Mahāsthāmaprāpta Bodhisattva with curiosity. Mahāsthāmaprāpta Bodhisattva stood up and pointed towards the setting sun gradually sinking in the west, his eyes shimmering with the light of wisdom. Yes, it is the path home. Everyone has a true home in their heart, which is our original mind, our Buddha nature. When we lose ourselves in the mundane world, led by the six sense bases to chase external objects, we are like children who have lost their way. Chanting the Buddha's name is the guiding light that leads us back home. Buddha nature is our original face. It is our true self. To practice Buddha recitation is to recite our true self, returning to our original nature. When we return to our true nature, we attain genuine peace and happiness. The Bodhisattva of the Master continued, "Observe the lotus flower here. It grows from the mud, yet remains unstained by it, precisely because it possesses the power to grow upwards. Our mind is the same, although it dwells in the mundane world. As long as there is an upward force, it can transcend the defilements." The practice of reciting the Buddha's name is to cultivate purity within our hearts, allowing us to be like the lotus flower that rises unstained from the muddy water. Shanming has another question. "Venerable, I understand the principle of the one Buddha, but in actual practice, there are too many distractions. Sometimes I find it difficult to calm my mind for an entire day." The master nodded to the Bodhisattva in understanding, saying that cultivation is like farming. Continuous nurturing is necessary to reap the harvest. I am sharing with you a practical cultivation method called the One Buddha Samadhi, which can help you deepen your practice. Samadhi is right concentration, a state in which the mind is undistracted and unified. The Samadhi of One Buddha refers to the state of a concentrated and undisturbed mind achieved through the contemplation of the Buddha. This state of mind enables us to clearly perceive the true nature of phenomena, thereby attaining wisdom. The Bodhisattva master began to expound on this method in detail. First, choose a fixed time and place, which can be either early morning or dusk, in a relatively quiet location. Secondly, facing the west, respectfully join the palms in reverence. Visualize the golden image of Amitabha Buddha in the mind, and then begin chanting the Buddha's name. In the beginning, one may chant aloud, gradually lowering the volume until finally transitioning to silent recitation. Fully concentrate on the Buddha's name. If distracting thoughts arise, do not resist them. Simply gently bring your attention back to the Buddha's name. Visualizing the Buddha's image can help us concentrate our attention and more easily enter the state of a different Buddha. When reciting the Buddha's name, one must do so with a heart of reverence and a sense of inner peace. Only then can one resonate with the Buddha and receive blessings. It is like a person walking on a pitch-dark night path with a bright lamp ahead. Even if there are distracting noises around, he only needs to focus on that lamp and take each step forward. Similarly, on the path of practice, the Buddha's name is the guiding light that illuminates our way. No matter what difficulties we encounter, we must persist in reciting the Buddha's name and never give up. As long as we persevere, we will reach the bright shore. The 10 great matters of Ajatashatru refer to the teachings of the Bodhisattva. He found that when he wholeheartedly recited the Buddha's name, not only did the disturbances from the 6 sense faculties diminish, but an indescribable joy and tranquility also arose within his heart. This experience filled him with confidence in his practice. A month later, Ajatashatru's transformation astonished everyone. She, who was once easily restless, has become composed. Her eyes are clear and bright, and her entire being exudes a serene aura. Even in a noisy environment, she can maintain inner tranquility. One day, Ajatashatru was spreading the Dharma in the marketplace, surrounded by a cacophony of voices. The vendors hawking, the customers bargaining, and the children's playful laughter filled the air. In the past, Ajatashatru's mind would have been disturbed by these sounds, but now his mind is as calm as still water, walking while silently recalling the Buddha in his heart. An old monk witnessed this scene and exclaimed in admiration, "Ajatashatru, your cultivation has made great progress. To maintain such tranquility in such a noisy environment." Ajatashatru respectfully replied, "This is all due to the teachings and merits of the Master and the Bodhisattvas. I have realized that when I wholeheartedly focus on the Buddha, external disturbances are like ripples on the water surface. They exist but can no longer disturb the profound tranquility within my heart. Reciting the Buddha's name has brought me inner peace and made me more clearly understand the truth of things. I understand that all things are impermanent, all things are changing, and there is nothing worthy of our attachment." The old monk asked curiously, "Can you describe this experience in detail?" Ajatashatru pondered for a moment and replied, "It is as if my mind has become a mirror, reflecting all things within it, yet the mirror itself remains unaffected. When I recite the Buddha's name, this mirror becomes increasingly bright, reflecting more and more clearly. No matter what it reflects, the mirror itself remains pure and unstained. The mind is like a clear mirror, capable of reflecting all things yet remaining unstained by them. Reciting the Buddha's name is like polishing the mind's state, making it brighter and purer." The old monk suddenly realized that this is precisely the mind arising from the state of non-abidance. By reciting the Buddha's name, you are actually cultivating the wisdom of non-abidance. Non-attachment means not clinging to anything, including our own thoughts. When we let go of attachment, we attain true freedom and liberation. Ajatashatru's spiritual practice experience quickly spread throughout the entire monastic community and even reached the ears of the Buddha. One day, during a gathering of the assembly, the Buddha specifically mentioned Ajatashatru's practice method. The Buddha smiled and said that Ajatashatru's practice perfectly aligns with the Bodhisattva taught path of mindfulness of the Buddha. This Dharma gate appears simple, but is actually profound, especially suitable for beings deeply engaged in genuine practice. In the age of Dharma decline, sentient beings are deeply troubled by afflictions, and the 6 sense faculties are difficult to subdue. If one can regard the Buddha as a mother regards her own child, and the child regards the mother as unique, uniting in a single thought of the Buddha, then one can establish a responsive and spiritual connection with the Buddha without relying on expedient means, naturally attaining an open and enlightened mind. Reciting the Buddha's name, according to the Buddha's teachings, is the most suitable practice for sentient beings in the age of Dharma decline. It is simple and easy to practice, with remarkable effects, and can help us attain liberation in a short period of time. These words sparked widespread discussion within the monastic community. Someone asked, Shakyamuni, why do you use the single thought between mother and child to metaphorically represent a Buddha's single thought of mindfulness? The Buddha compassionately replied, the bond between mother and child is one of the deepest affections in the world. When a mother thinks of her child far away, her entire mind is focused on the child, and everything else becomes background. Similarly, when a practitioner wholeheartedly focuses on the Buddha, distracting thoughts naturally recede to a secondary position. Moreover, the affection between mother and child is mutual. The mother longs for the child, and the child also longs for the mother. Similarly, when sentient beings are unified with the Buddha is also, in a single thought, unified with sentient beings. This reciprocal resonance makes the practice of a single Buddha recitation an exceptionally noble method of cultivation. The Buddha's compassion is boundless. He is always attentive to us. As long as we maintain a single-minded devotion to it, we can feel its blessings. After listening to the Buddha's explanation, many monks developed faith in the practice of Buddha recitation as a Dharma gate, especially those practitioners who had long been troubled by delusions. Witnessing Ajatashatru's transformation, they eagerly sought his guidance on specific methods of practice. Shanming also completely changed his approach to cultivation. He no longer blindly pursued ascetic practices, but instead devoted his mind and energy to the righteous act of mindfulness of the Buddha. Gradually, he realized that he did not need to deliberately avoid external circumstances, for when the Buddha dwells in the mind, the six sense faculties naturally cease to be defiled by external dust. One day, a year later, the Master Bodhisattva once again came to the Seven Elements Sutra Society and saw Ajata and Shanming, who had cultivated successfully. He said with satisfaction, "You have found the key to practice. It is not about opposing the six senses, but transforming them. When your mind is fully immersed in the single practice of Buddha recollection, the six sense faculties cease to be the source of afflictions and instead become instruments of awakening. The six sense faculties are our instruments. We can use them to create karma or to cultivate practice. The crucial point lies in how we employ them. Reciting the Buddha's name is to guide us in the proper use of the six sense faculties, transforming them into instruments for cultivation." The Acharya respectfully asked, "Venerable Sir, I now understand the power of reciting the Buddha's name, but I sometimes remain doubtful. Compared to other practices, what is special about reciting the Buddha's name?" The Master explained to the Bodhisattva in a profound yet simple manner. All cultivation methods are skillful means established by the Buddha for sentient beings with different capacities. There is no superior or inferior among them. For most people, reciting the Buddha's name has several unique advantages. First, it is simple and easy to practice. Regardless of one's level of education or environment, anyone can practice the recitation of the Buddha's name. No need for complex rituals. No need for profound theories. Only a pure and sincere heart is required. Second, in accordance with one's true nature. Our original mind is inherently pure, but has been defiled by attachments and impurities. Reciting the Buddha's name is like polishing a mirror. Continuously chanting the Buddha's name is like incessantly wiping the mind state until the original true nature is revealed. Third, the responses are inconceivable. When a person wholeheartedly thinks of the Buddha, they can resonate with the Buddha's great compassionate vow and power. This kind of resonance is not theoretical, but a concrete and genuine experience. As Ananda said, when he concentrated on the Buddha with a single thought in the toilet chamber, his mind was able to remain peaceful, which is an expression of spiritual resonance. Ananda and Shanming, upon hearing the great Bodhisattva's instructions, became even more resolute in their faith and practice. They shared their experiences with many others, allowing the practice of reciting the Buddha's name, as taught by different Buddhas, to spread widely within the monastic community. Many years later, Agata became a deeply respected elder. He often taught his disciples that the contact of the six sense faculties with the six external objects is fundamentally a subject of practice, rather than an obstacle to practice. The key lies in whether you are being driven by the six senses or observing the six senses with a pure and tranquil mind. The practice of Buddha recitation is to help us develop the ability of pure and mindful observation. The six sense objects are like our exams. We cannot evade them, but must face them courageously. Reciting the Buddha's name can help us maintain a clear mind and make the right choices. In a public teaching session, Ananda summarized the insights he had gained from many years of practice. Reciting the Buddha's name is not only a method of practice, but also a way of life. When we encounter favorable circumstances, a single Buddha can help prevent us from being afflicted by greed and anger. When we encounter adversity, a single Buddha can help us maintain inner peace. At any time and place, a Buddha can connect us with our pure, original nature. This is what is called the present moment as the pure land, and a single thought as the vision of the Tathagata. The Pure Land is not in a distant place. It exists within our own hearts. As long as we maintain a pure mind, we can feel the solemnity and beauty of the Pure Land anytime and anywhere. This secret of practice, originating from the great master to the Bodhisattva, not only helped Ajatashatru and Shanming resolve their doubts in cultivation, but also pointed the way for countless practitioners in later generations. In a world filled with distractions, when the six senses are impure, the simple yet profound practice of a single Buddha recitation can enable anyone to find inner peace amidst chaos, like a lotus that remains unstained by the mud, blooming with pure radiance. As the world-honored one said to the Bodhisattvas in the Shurangama Sutra, restrain the six sense faculties, diligently maintain continuous mindfulness, attain samadhi, and thus rank foremost. When we gather the six sense bases, unify the mind with the Buddha, and maintain a continuous flow of pure thoughts, we can attain the stabilizing power of the mind's pure nature. This is the most supreme method of practice. Reciting the Buddha's name by a single practitioner is the most direct and effective method to return to one's true nature. It helps us eliminate karmic obstacles, increase merit and wisdom, and ultimately attain the enlightenment of Bodhi. May we all uphold the mindful remembrance of the Buddha, finding inner peace and tranquility amid the clamor of the secular world, ultimately attaining perfect wisdom and compassion. In the endless cycle of samsara, we have all been lost children, wandering through the six realms. The Buddha is like a loving father, constantly calling us to return home. To recite the Buddha's name with a single mind is to respond to the Buddha's call and embark on the path home. This path may be long and arduous, but as long as we persevere and never give up, we will eventually return to our true home, the pure confidence of our true nature. May we all, guided by the Buddha, find the way home and attain true liberation and peace.